So the kind of staple two bans from red side from Fnatic have been Draven and Sylas, and with one of those bans being expended to the Sona, one of these champions is going to get through, and with the champion pool shrinking from Rekkles by taking away the Vayne and the Sivir, I'm curious if they're going to take away the Draven just so Patrik can't throw down the axe and say, okay, what do you have to take this on?
Yeah, you almost have to ban the Draven because you're not going to pick it yourself for Rekkles. He hasn't proven himself to be a Draven player. So with Sylas open, Origen, of course, are going to lock that in. There's so many options you can use with this pick. You steal enemy ults, have a great team fight, have a great laning phase. He just basically does it all.
And now I feel like we're forced into a situation where Fnatic have to pick an AD carry in these first 3 picks at some point. It might be the first rotation, it might be that last pick on red side, but the pool for Rekkles is shrinking by the minute now. However, we do get, once again, a comfort pick for Broxah in the jungle.
I mean, the pick that you would assume that Rekkles is going to go for is something like the Kaisa in tandem with Hilly's Alistar, but I doubt that we're going to see those champions paired up together. They'll probably get one or the other, and then Origen will deny the rest.
Difficult here now already with the Sylas being locked in. We see Lissandra on the opposite side. When Sylas first came out, I felt like a lot of times the answer was to just not draft useful ults, but already getting 2 that give him a ton of kill pressure in the mid lane, paired as well now with the Skarner.
Okay, so it's going to be the Skarner and not the Jarvan. Of course, this was banned in the last game, so Kold prefers to stick on this champion, force Fnatic to pay the QSS tax, and use that single target lockdown to initiate fight. Now for Nukeduck, the Rise is still open for him. He's proven that he's comfortable playing that up into the Lissandra, but has not been a pick that he's been able to overly dominate on so far this series.
And when it comes to support champion pools, there are very few unique individual picks, Pyke being one that goes into the pocket of Hylissang, but the Tahm Kench, something that's unique to Mithy in terms of this matchup, something Hylissang almost never touches, but we have seen OG, when they can get control of the early game, take over the map with a pick like Tahm Kench.
But they usually pair it in tandem with something like the Ashe or possibly even the Varus. So the thing that Tahm Kench lacks is, of course, the wave control and the wave priority down there, so you need an AD carry that can push quite safely, and then when you pair it with the Ashe, you have so much global utility between the Abyssal Voyage and the Enchanted Arrow.
Yeah, and what that plays into is the 1-3-1 style that we've seen Origen be successful with. You can have a Sylas in a side lane or a strong split-pushing mid laner for Nukeduck. The Tahm Kench is very good at just being mid lane and having the ability to show up in those side lanes if Fnatic were looking to collapse and punish a split pusher.
And with the top side of the map now locked in for Fnatic, I expect we will see more bot side focused bans. The Rakan not only taken away from Hylissang, but making the Xayah option a little less appealing for Rekkles as a champion pool once again just continues to shrink.
And that's the idea. It's okay, what do we know Rekkles will play? Well, he doesn't have access to the Sona this time around, so you're looking at the old school Xayah, the Kaisa maybe, and if they really just want to punch Rekkles, then you ban something like a Kaisa here, or possibly even an Alistar to make the Kaisa less viable.
And you pointed out earlier the Ashe plus Varus picks that Patrik would potentially love to have here. The Varus does get banned away, but Ashe is untouched. The Ezreal also hasn't been found. I'm not sure if Patrik wants to return to that champion they just got messed with in that last game. That was not a good look for him on the Ezreal, but of course it has been a consistent pick for him that he's done pretty well on.
And
so
Ezreal Tahm Kench, though, does feel like hard conceding on the bottom side of the map. It means that we can expect Origen to play more around the top side, but these last 8 seconds, I think, are going to tell us a lot as we see Fnatic's 4th pick here. And the Pyke being locked in is a huge confidence statement from Hylissang.
Yeah, Pyke also not too bad into the Tahm Kench. You can blast through the shield. If he uses that too late with the ultimate, that'll just execute targets. And you can try to pull people away from the Tahm Kench with some of the utility in your kit.
But it's also the fact that they're giving last pick to Rekkles, trying to get him more information about what he's facing in that bot lane. So this still tells me that Fnatic have the same strategy of it is going to be about the bot lane. We need all of the information possible to sculpt out a winning lane phase for Hilly and Rekkles.
And this makes me think that it is going to be a Jinx or a Tristana, that they are trying to find one of the last remaining 3-item carries for Rekkles to pick up, something that he can be comfortable on. This is why they would want that perfect information.
I actually really like the GP. So GP has been flamed a lot when the LEC top laners lock it in, just because he is so diveable. But when you have a GP, when you have something like an Ashe, and when you're facing a team like Fnatic who like to play around the bot lane, GP's ultimate means so much there because he doesn't have to participate in the fight. He doesn't need the teleport available. And again, it's throwing down the gauntlet and saying, okay, Mithy, Patrik, now you get a cannon barrage on top of it. Can you hold this Fnatic bot lane?
In the end, it will not be a 3-item carry. It'll be the 2-item Kaisa. And of course, important for Rekkles to find some comfort in that bot lane phase. But The GP now locked in, commits Nukeduck to the mid lane with the Sylas, and so many potentially explosive matchups here in the early game.
Yeah, I do like the style here from Fnatic. Another game where they don't necessarily have the cleanest front-to-back team fight later on, but they have a super explosive mid game where they have many dive tools to try and catch you out. Because again, Origen with this composition are looking to spread out across the map and slowly burn you down. Fnatic are going to be trying to attack and stopping that from happening.
But again, the Origen have to survive the lane phase,
True.
and GP can be punished. He can be dove. Rek'Sai Aatrox is so scary and potent. My eyes are actually on Broxah and Bwipo to get some love this game and really try to put Alphari down.
Terrifying, though. If we enter the mid game, the potential for global pressure with the Ashe ultimate, the Tahm Kench, the Gangplank as well. And in the nightmare scenario where OG could find a lead in the early game, Sylas with Pyke ult is disgusting. But here we are, folks. Once again, it is match point. OG have built their advantage, and now they can look to cash it in with one final game. But I imagine Fnatic and the Fnatic fans in the audience will have something to say about that. They are waiting for a Game 5, for another Fnatic win, and for silver scrapes to potentially carry home a Fnatic victory.
And Origen staring them down. One win away from the rematch in Rotterdam up against G2. It's within their grasp now, Drakos. All they need is that one final Nexus, and they're going to the finals.
Pressure on both sides, no doubt. And it feels like both teams, to a certain degree, getting a lot of comfort in this draft. We've got the Ashe, Tahm Kench, very quintessential Origen-style bot lane. And if you want to talk about them playing that Korean style, that clean macro style, you know, the Prey and Gorilla special showing up here on stage. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen. It is do or die once again for Fnatic. There is no rest for them after their first two losses, and OG going to look to close it out right here.
Level 1, eyes on Fnatic. You can see a trap possibly set up for Origen, so definitely doing their homework and scouting something out, and we'll see what Nukeduck's able to do here against Rekkles.
This is a classic, the dash over the wall. Last time we saw it, it was Hylissang's Recon, I believe. Abscond, abduct, ready and available. If they shut down Rekkles early on, it very quickly set the pace for this game. Dash forward, holding onto the stun. Nukeduck is just going to walk away. We'll give up a decent amount of lane pressure by starting with that instead of the chain lash into the mid lane.
Well, actually, a lot of the times with Sylas, because you get 2 casts on the E, you can access your passive twice on that first wave, so it's really not a bad spell to take. You also get the shield as well, so even as a melee champion, you're going to be walking up to the wave, approaching, and be able to soak up an auto attack or 2 incoming from Lissandra and try to contest for that level 1 push.
Alphari trying to sidestep here, but a lot of damage Bwipo is laying down. Corrupting Pot is going to help him heal back up to full if Alphari wants to do it. Grasp as well. But reminder that you can check out Hylissang's POV. Twitch.tv/RiotGames2 is the place as we talk about how important this bottom side is for Fnatic.
And for once, the POV stream didn't get baited. We finally have another really exciting champion on Hilly pulling out his Pyke, so good work there. Now what I was curious about is which jungler was going to play for the top grab. I think it's really important for Broxah here to secure this for Bwipo, so again, you can try to abuse this matchup, and that's why it's also so important that Nemesis is fighting hard for that priority. But you see the on the way ping, Kold wants to stop that.
Yeah, and at the same time, Broxah is doing the path that Kold actually introduced to the LEC on Rek'Sai, where you start on the Wolves, go to red, go to Krugs. You get a very quick level 3 on the Rek'Sai, and also can confuse your opponents when you come up and look for a gank at awkward timings. He will see Kold walk into the river, so will not be able to contest for that top crab, and probably won't be able to find a gank either.
XP advantage for now, though, will go in the favor of Broxah, but we can see Kold now moving forward, moving into the mid lane. Nemesis has to be careful here, only level 2. Did he take the claw? We're not going to get a chance to find out. It looks like he will back off, and now eyes on the top lane. Alphari with almost no mana. Bwipo potentially in trouble. Broxah now ready to step forward. Where's the flash going to be from Alphari? Has to time this one well. Bwipo in trouble. The flash forward, but a perfect knockup from Broxah denies it right there. Kold needs to pick his target. Alphari's already dead. Has to get to Bwipo. Biding his time, but if he overcommits here, he will just die as well. Bwipo going to dash out to safety zone. Incredibly low run, but ticking! Is it going to do it? No, regen is just too much!
So much expended right there, and Bwipo walks away, also has access to the TP, and the wave's in a great spot for him.
That gank should not have worked. We actually saw right before it happened, Kold used a danger ping on the top tri-brush. He knew where Broxah was, but was not able to show up fast enough. Alphari thought he could make the 2v1 happen, but unfortunately it was just so close and couldn't finish the kill.
And how many Fnatic victories have started with Bwipo surviving when he absolutely should not? That was the story of the Vitality series. OG need to come back from this.
And the mentality is that once this top crab goes down, you think there's no reason for Broxah to be here. He doesn't have anything to farm. So again, it's that creative early pathing that the crab is down. Alphari, you're probably fine to be this far forward. Surprise, here's Broxah.
Yeah, I just don't understand because they literally called it out. They knew what was going to happen. Now Broxah really wants to shut down Alphari, but it's too far into the tower.
I mean, you have to feel like Alphari just committed to the play thinking he could find the kill and make it a 1-for-1 because he was 30 health away. And he was so incredibly close, but now it's turned this matchup against him. Despite that, though, managing to hold on to the CS advantage, and of course, Gangplank will still be relevant at that level 6 across the map.
Yeah, I would be surprised to see Broxah dive. If you're remembering game number 3, then you're like, oh yeah, here we go. But without the flashes on these two top laners and with the remove Scurvy for Gangplank, it's not the easiest play to pull off. Also, keep in mind that crucially, Nukeduck finally has the push in this mid lane. It's one of the reasons why we see Sylas banned so often, because even as a melee champion, he can very easily push through these waves and stop you from moving around if you're a player like Nemesis.
It's also the fact that you're dealing with multiple teleports, so you'd have to make sure that if you went for a top lane dive, it has to be on point and it has to be done quickly. Otherwise, multiple TPs, multiple people in your lane, and you're punished for overreaching again.
As we look across the map, it just feels like very high stakes in every single lane, and no one wants to be the one to mess up so far top. Just the big point is Alphari did kind of fail in that exchange, but the bottom side doing well so far, kind of waiting and biding their time. Ashe alone, getting a lot of that lane pressure early on with just the power of the volley, but Rekkles and Hylissang firing back, and the level 6 point for this bot side, on both sides, really terrifying.
Yeah, both sides just TPing back. Gonna get the push down now. Of course, Patrik gonna be itemizing into the Bladed Ruin King first. Get that extra sustain and the damage here on the Ashe, who, when she builds the Runans especially, that's an item you don't usually see on a lot of different carries. She gets a lot of AoE damage and can proc the slow onto multiple people. So good itemization here from the Ashe. Of course, top lane Kold is up here.
But once again, the focus, the TP's now coming in. How much time can he buy? He's almost immediately going to be deleted off the face. Alphari is going to pick that one up, and Rekkles burning his TP now to the top side. We'll pick up some farm here, but not an ideal exchange.
Now I wonder, is Fnatic just going to full commit to the lane swap? Because Hylissang is running towards the top side of the map. They may just go ahead and do it, because if you look at the CS differential bot side, Rekkles down a little bit. He's down 10 currently, and Patrik, Mithy are going to be hard pushing in. They may just be totally comfortable taking the lane swap and saying, we'll get out of the 2v2, we'll get out of the 1v1 and look to burn and trade towers.
The only scary thing there is that it is a Mountain Drake, and we've heard pros continuously talk about how fundamental that dragon can be for early Barons. No flash.
Sorry.
Good footwork.
Look at this bot lane though. Broxah snuck down in here. There is an Aatrox. It's gonna be hard to pull this one off though with all summoner spells in the OG duo.
Making sure that he can farm safely for now. We'll clear out that wave, stop any more tower plating from falling. 2 though, going in favor of OG is gonna give them a small gold advantage here early on in what was honestly a very chaotic series of play as we have the lane swaps coming out.
Now with Fnatic recalling, I think they might actually just go ahead and gun pack bot lane. They lost 2 turret plates and weren't able to get any of their own. So it wasn't ideal for Fnatic, it seems, to make this swap happen. Of course, they were in a tough position when Rekkles was called up for the teleport, thinking maybe they could keep Bwipo alive, but he was just level 5 and didn't have the ability to make it back. So they will come back bot lane, go even, and hope to maybe make a play in the coming minutes.
Yeah, and it's not about just absorbing the spells from Rekkles and, you know, putting him a little bit farther, that step behind Patrik. It also then buys Alphari time. So it's really nice for Origen that they've now itemized into the Sheen, that Alphari is going to have his flash back up and available, and he will have the cannon barrage up soon. So there's more opportunity as Origen just kind of like absorbed the last minute and a half with this weird lane swap type of situation.
It's a little bizarre, but both teams, I think, surprisingly comfortable in this exchange. I imagine that after we saw the lane swap kind of originate in that Splice series, that nearly every team was probably practicing it, if they weren't already, to figure out exactly what they could do in these quick fire lane swap scenarios. But now waiting to see the level 6s come in. Patrik and Mithy still only level 5 each. Rekkles with that solo XP top lane, already the level 6, so could try to use that to make a play here. Hylissang, Rekkles moving in. Pyke, I believe, spotted as he was coming on the stealth up, and of course Nukeduck would have gotten a warning as he got closer, but they will back off, so no roam mid lane this time around.
Does feel like the game's maybe a little bit slower than Fnatic would have liked it to be currently. It's just 1-1. on the scoreboard, 8 minutes into the game. It's definitely felt like the slowest game we've had so far all series, which if that is the case, then you do give the scaling advantage if the ability to play 1-3-1 over towards Origen. As it has not been the same story in this bottom lane. Patrik is doing just fine. He has not gotten attention from Broxah to be shut down just yet.
I mean, for me, this Mountain Dragon is just so important for Fnatic specifically because you have someone like Kaisa. So if you have Mountain on top of Kaisa, your ability to just shred through objectives can completely change this game. If Origen try to play those side lanes and Fnatic just walk towards Baron and say, okay, we have Mountain, we have Kaisa, you must fight us.
Yeah, can definitely be the case sometimes. Now, I'm looking at this draft again from Origen. I actually really like the Ashe plus Tahm Kench. And it's one of those things where you usually talk about the Varus and Ashe as interchangeable, but specifically in this game, Patrik has been using the hawk shot to spot out Broxah in his pathing. And that is so crucial here if you are on the side of Origen, making sure that he can't find those plays around the bottom lane and that Kold can track him.
Reminder that Nemesis has no cleanse here. And he goes, he's going to look for the point and click, does lock him down. The Claw not going to come out. They're just going to chain all the CC together. The Abscond, the Abduct, the Impale, literally everything they can throw at Nemesis has been thrown. But his own ulti now coming out to buy a bit more time. But OG are first on the rotation with the power of that Tahm Kench, and they will find the kill.
Broxah sneaking away the Dragon. Origen, I don't even think had priority in bot lane. They made the call to make the rotation up towards the mid lane. They say, we don't have to play through bottom lane. Nukeduck is the primary carry of this team, and the solo lanes of Origen are doing so well.
Now Alphari actually dominating on the top side of the map is huge for this team. I mean, when we look at Bwipo, he is absolutely the high risk, high reward kind of player, and it honestly just feels like right now Alphari has his number, and that's never usually a good sign for Fnatic.
Hold on, skirmish bot.
Both sides can back off.
Just a quick trade there from Fnatic. High risk, high reward, Bwipo, of course. A lot of isolated deaths. Lots of deaths to the 15s, but he gets some solo kills as well, so why not?
It's not just about, you know, what top laner gets what solo deaths, how much you fall down in CS, because statistics don't tell the whole story. I think what's interesting about Alphari and Bwipo is so many pros talk about how potent Alphari is in his individual lane, how he is an incredibly smart laner, he knows how to manipulate the wave control, he knows a lot of different sides of matchups, whereas Bwipo, it feels like he's more focused on how he interacts with Fnatic as a team. You know, he's fine to go down in the CS, he's fine to be the big tank, and kind of like his responsibility to the higher composition. And I think that's what matters more in finding the difference between these top laners.
Hold that thought. Patrik now stepping forward, has burned the ultimate. Rekkles now has to run. They're going to back off. The tongue lash is there. Patrik, flash out. Hylissang, not going to get the ulti there. They are going to return.
Really good trading. Yeah, Mithy and Patrik. Mithy also using the Devour to make sure Patrik couldn't be flipped underneath the tower there and take any extra damage on the back end. So there's a very different story. And once again, it's Kold around this middle lane. This is something I was asking for after game number 3. Put some priority, put some emphasis on allowing Nukeduck to shove up and play forward. And all of a sudden, it's Origen with complete control over the other areas of the map because they can move first.
Now Broxah wants to get something back on the top side as he sees his bottom lane falling apart. Kold already moving down to the bottom side. They're looking to get that tower first blood. Broxah hoping to catch Alphari out. All Gangplank ultimate being used. This will clear the wave. This will stop any threat of a dive unless they can try to force right now on the side of Fnatic. But no, good play from Alphari, kind of sniffing out the dive and using that ult just to clear away the wave.
And again, it was a question about how confident they were going to be. Like you said, of course, Alphari could see the entire play before his eyes. Expertly played, says, no, I'm not even going to give you the opportunity. But also then Fnatic saying, we're not going to try to force this. Maybe 2 games ago, Fnatic would have tried for that play.
Yeah, that's been something that plagues them sometimes when they overpush for those advantages. Now, quietly, while Fnatic only have the 1 kill, is Bwipo gonna have to get away. He doesn't have the ultimate quite yet, but Broxah was able to sneak away both the Mountain Drake as well as the Rift Herald. So it's not the early game performance that I think a lot of Fnatic fans would have liked to see, where it's heavy kill early game, putting money into Rekkles' pocket, but instead is much more objective focused here from Fnatic, and they can hope to try and push back in terms of gold at the moment, because right now they are down, but the Herald should equalize that a bit.
But the game feels like it's kind of on this knife edge where we're just about to open up the map, where towers are going to start going down with kind of the next rotation of ultimates, and once we're on an open map, I really like Origen's composition. You talked about the power of Ashe and Kench. One of the coolest things about Ashe is when she decides to go mid, that she can fire the arrow from Fog of War and just completely kill the mid lane tower kind of in one go, depending on who your ultimate hits.
Yeah, and when you're thinking about Fnatic trying to force engagements of their own while Origen are splitting up the map, you wonder where is the hard engage from them. Yes, you have Lissandra, but she's relatively low range. Can you get on top of them? The Pyke as well isn't the best tool necessarily. So in games where they have heavy leads early on where they have control of the map, it's very easy to execute on when the enemy has to come to you when they don't know where you are. But if Origen continues to play this slow style where they have vision advantages, they won't ever die to plays that Fnatic try to make.
Bot lane tower will fall in favor of OG, but the Herald has been used top, and Bwipo steps forward to proxy the wave to make sure he can get some damage down here. Now, while gold is going into the pockets of the OG bottom lane, Bwipo going to take a lot of solo gold on the back of this Rift Herald play. We'll start to balance out this lane matchup.
And you could see how vital that was between the gold difference that finally put him ahead of Alphari because he has been sitting behind or step behind this GP.
Well, the thought hook does come out. Mithy has to be careful. That there on the Hylissang, they're trying to disengage, but no, in the meantime, play coming out on the top side. It's just going to be Bwipo being deleted here. Alphari and Kold going to find the play.
Yeah, Bwipo didn't even get a chance to pop the ultimate. Now Fnatic wanting to make a play of their own in the mid lane. Broxah and Rekkles are here, but can they make it happen?
Has connected on the Patrik, but now Mithy's going to try to save him. The flash out to safety. Patrik, the engage there, denied. The Tahm Kench coming in clutch.
Yeah, Origen are able to win 2 areas of the map at the same time. It's Kold going top lane and mid lane as well, taking a very good trade here. Origen have just a really solid grasp on this game.
But I feel like there's a tempo mismatch here because Origen just used a lot of their key ultimates and the Infernal spawns in 6 seconds. Whereas you look across the side of Fnatic, they have access to everything that they want as well as priority over the mid lane. So while it looked like Origen, we're picking up Bwipo, we're trying to make these plays into the mid lane, it's Fnatic who will have early rotation into Infernal.
It's true, but Origen do look like they want to contest. Kold and Alphari both went for a reset. Kold immediately pathing down towards this side. Alphari was not so sure. He went a little bit, then he's back towards this top lane, and Fnatic were not willing to pull the trigger without good vision themselves.
And right now, with Fnatic falling behind to this composition, it feels so difficult. It feels like OG get to play out what is a very nice, very simple game plan. They have the Tahm Kench, they have the Ashe, they have pretty much all the tools to dictate the pace, where the burden feels like it's on Fnatic to find a weakness, to find a hole in the armor and kind of exploit mispositioning.
So Mithy and Patrik did both reset. Mithy has the Abyssal Voids, there's a teleport coming in, but the drag is going down very quick.
This is immediately going to get deleted, but now Nukeduck decide, will they find the engage? Has the Lissandra ult up and available? Will they commit for more TP being used mid lane? Patrik, the arrow will be up shortly. They can try to just delete someone off the face of the map, but Bwipo and Broxah waiting off into the flank. Nukeduck has to be careful here.
They're on a ward.
Out. Move backwards, is not going to get the dash over the wall, and uses the Lissandra ult as well and gets nothing.
And this is what Origen have needed when they want to push up on this mid lane, and they finally have it. Really nice, deep flanking vision, making sure that they understand their responsibility. Okay, we're here for the tower, we're here for the objective. Yes, we've lost the Infernal, but we can see that Fnatic are looking for that flank to the side and using pressure to zone them away to continue to chip at this mid lane tower. And now with the Ashe arrow back up, Patrik, this is your time to shine. You are looking at a key target to crack this tower.
Yeah, when you have the numbers advantage, when you can use these globals to start something off from afar, it looks very good from Origen. I think you watch them right now and you say, I sort of want the more cautious Origen that we saw a lot during the regular season, that we even saw a little bit in their series against G2, as opposed to one that really jumped out and surprised us in Game 1 here today.
Again, I just think this Origen comp really thrives on an open map, so I actually think that there's so much importance and so much riding on a really good arrow on this rotation of the cooldown. If Fnatic can absorb this, we talked about scaling. Fnatic also have a lot of scaling on their side. The longer this mid tower stays up, I still love the 5v5 potential with Fnatic's Kaisa.
And of course, going for the early Q evolve, Rekkles. It's going to be a little bit slower to get the active E evolve, but he's going to be able to do a lot of damage still once he gets to 2 items. And I think no doubt in the late game teamfights that without an arrow, Kaisa easily going to outdamage this Ashe if set up for success.
And even with the arrow, see Hylissang's itemization. He immediately purchased the Quicksilver Sash. He knows that if he wants to play aggressively in any of these fights or skirmishes, there's going to be a Skarner Impale coming through, the arrow as well. So there is a little bit of survivability on the side of Fnatic to absorb, as you mentioned, that initial engagement from OG.
Checking in on the mid lane though, OG going to take control here. Fnatic going to be forced to respond. And OG have their sights set once again on that mid lane tower. Hylissang just hovering outside of vision there on the stealth, on the Ghostwater dive, but not going to push for an engage here. Bwipo on the bottom side, Nemesis on the top side. They just do not have the members of their team to stop that one from going down.
Yeah, the biggest issue is that they don't have access to the TP from Nemesis, so anytime Origen have information on him on the top side, they know that he pulled the trigger on that for the Infernal Drake, and they feel confident that with their flanking vision on the bottom side that they can go.
Hylissang locked up. As the QS is available, he's just going to wait that arrow up, and Nemesis off to the flank, looking to find something. Is going to lock up the Skarner, but now Fnatic trying to find the fight. Bwipo off to the flank. They want to kill someone. down. Now Mithy's been forced to use the Devour onto Kold, trying to save the day. Kold goes golden. Bwipo under the tower, trying to find something. Will get the kill right as the reset comes down. Hylissang now looking to keep it rolling, but OG respond with kills there on Patrik, flashing forward fearlessly to find the kill.
Origen are able to punish Fnatic right there. It's a double kill for Patrik, and they once again maintain control over this map. Fnatic really pushed there, and well, Nukeduck might want more.
Is marked. Rek'Sai ult could come out. It's just going to hold off. It's just going to back off here in the exchange, but well played. Once again, tower diving. Feels like it is been the biggest risk across all of this series.
But that was just a separation that the back line of Fnatic couldn't follow the front line. And so I actually give credit to Bwipo and Hilly at least picking up some kills there. But like you're saying, well played for Origen. My question is, what does this team fight actually mean for Origen? Because we're just posturing the mid lane. We weren't fighting for the objective here.
Yeah, they were just going for that 5v5 in the mid. You can see Fnatic in this really tough position. They didn't want to dive the tower, but they were put into that place. Because this turret has not gone down, the low HP bars where Pyke could get the execute were underneath that structure. So he had to commit if he wanted to trade those kills, but unfortunately it is not a winning fight for that overcommitment on Fnatic's side.
And now we see 2K gold lead in the favor of OG. The Dragons definitely in favor of Fnatic. To see what else OG can do. Froskurinn, you talked about it, and it feels like we are waiting on that big play from OG. This time they were punishing Fnatic for making a play of their own. Will we see OG make a proactive play?
They got it, and so the mid lane has now opened, which gives them so much more access towards that red side jungle. But now kind of the next big objective for them is trying to get that top tower down, not just so we can play around the Baron, but so you can play around the Abyssal Voyage. Again, trying to pick out Fnatic members if they're off in these side lanes. The thing that's kind of slowing down that setup is the Infernal Drake about to respond. And you can tell that Origen really put emphasis on this because they don't want to give away double Infernal. Because, again, scaling, I'm not super decisive on who actually wins this in a late game.
Yeah, I think that OG have a lot of tools for the front-to-back team fight as well as trying to split up the map, but there's always the Kaisa and the snap-engage dive potential of Fnatic where if they can jump onto your backline, they can kill you. But watching Origen now, they have a lot of really good vision. Look at those control wards around the mid lane. They're just waiting for Fnatic to walk into them.
Hylissang, though, still fishing, still threatening constantly. Aftershock, though, burn if they do try to force a fight in the next few moments. They might have the free tankiness, and now OG posturing, ready to find a pick here. Nemesis has not overstayed. OG now turning their attention instead to this dragon, but the Scuttle Crab is going to give Fnatic enough vision to know if they want an arena, they've got it. It's right here. Who is going to take the fight? Alphari stepping forward. The arrow does immediately come out now. Alphari pulled back in the middle of the team, but the Gangplank just going to cleanse away. Mithy going to save the day there. A lot expended and nothing going to fall. OG just going to turn back to this dragon. They're trying to get it. Will they extend the play as well? And
the Cannon Barrage just delays so much. Fnatic can't walk through that giant slow field. Origen will take it. They have the Voyage. They want the kills.
Hylissang has to be careful about stepping forward. Bwipo is going to get taken down here. Nukeduck now on a killing spree.
Can they move into Baron now? It's 21 minutes into the game. It would be very, very risky, but they have 30 seconds to play with.
It's about sweeping out the passageway around the Baron to set it up for later. And again, that ping on the top tower, that's the next kind of crucial point that needs to fall. Although Patrik
Kold, but does not care. He's happy to be pulled right back into the team. Mithy going to flash forward, gives Hylissang the tongue, takes him out, and now mid lane tier 2 is open to the OG team.
It's a massive punish right there from Origen. They're going to pick up 2 towers there in the mid lane, the top lane pushing, as well as you mentioned. And the game just exploded off of one Infernal play.
Yeah, Patrik just plants his feet and says, no, I'm not caught, you're caught. And he immediately turns around and again, that tower should still be there. That's a huge mistake from Fnatic. Origen now have so much control with an Abyssal Voyage, with a Cannon Barrage, to play around this jungle and to really start moving and speeding up tempo of this game.
And I mean, without the turret to fall back on as well, the long-range engage of Origen, whether it's the Cannon Barrage, the arrow, or just Kold running so fast at you, it means that you don't have a safety net to fall back on if you are Fnatic. You have to be much more cautious in this game, and it becomes very difficult to get vision over the river, which will inevitably lead to Origen being able to try and sneak a Baron.
Nukeduck biding his time, doesn't want to go over the wall and try to force the 1v1. Not sure where the remaining members of the team are. Instead, will focus on pressure, but it's not just this comp advantage where they are set up for success. It's also this massive gold lead that they've been building up as we look back at this fight.
Yeah, watching this one more time, this is after all the damage came through, and the Abyssal Voyage just to zone Bwipo back in towards the rest of the team. I feel like all the groundwork was what was really important right there from OG. They got so much chunk onto the enemy team inside of the river, and now Hylissang jumping forward without knowledge of where the other members are. This is a Hylissang that constantly looks for plays even when behind, and these are the situations that punish him and his team so much.
I mean, obviously just fishing there for something. Wasn't expecting probably the damage and the control that Patrik would have behind this Ashe, but you can see through her itemization, she's feeling very strong.
And once again, the more that this advantage extends for OG, the more these item spikes are delayed for Rekkles, who was the key carry for the team in the game that they did manage to win. OG going to grab a tier 2, uncontested completely by the side of Fnatic. Now using the Tahm Kench ultimate as well. Are they just going to go straight onto the Baron here?
They were seen on the ward, so Fnatic should know something is going on. There's also a ward outside of the pit that sees them leave. So now Fnatic, you know, it was not started up and they don't have to risk anything by walking in.
I mean, the game plan was if that control ward spots any sort of vision, then you clear the vision, you back off. You're like, okay, this is fine. If it doesn't, you 100% go for that.
Absolutely the call, and that could have been hugely decisive, but luckily Fnatic, you have just enough vision there with the blue trinket to spot it out. Rekkles getting closer and closer to 2 items. Patrik on the way to 3. The Infinity Edge on Ashe. Nothing to sneeze at. Very, very powerful spike. And it honestly feels like at this point, OG are in a position to just take this game and to take this series. And Fnatic, while they showed us so much in Game 3, it does once again feel like OG have been the team to outplay thus far in this game. Reminding people that this was not the expected result overall. After the series versus G2, no one had a ton of faith in OG, but games 1 and 2 kind of changed our minds. And here in Game 4, they're reminding us, you know, why they are so good, why they were able to stand at the top and secure second place in the regular season.
And credit to Alphari and Kold to set this Gangplank up in a position of power where not only did he survive his own lane and really put Bwipo into a hole, but he was able to impact the map with that cannon barrage. You know, again, time and time we say, you can punish the GP, you can do something. It's such a, you know, an arrogant pick, if you will, to do it blind like this. But time and time again, our LEC top laners are showing their mastery over this champion and understanding the resources that he requires.
Ooh, Hylissang has to be careful here. Has the QSS, the luxury of getting out one time, but burning that before a major team fight could be a massive detriment. Patrik ready at the moment, has his finger on the trigger here with the Ashe ultimate.
Fnatic waiting.
Fight.
They get the hook, but do they want to fight here?
Next on a Kold. They're now fighting in the pinch. Good for Nemesis, but also good for Nukeduck if he takes the ult.
Yeah, they need to be very careful. As soon as Nemesis clawed out, you didn't have a big cooldown, so Fnatic are just going to wait for that repeat. Here we go, claws back up.
Bwipo now trying to find a way into the fight, forcing out the Tahm Kench devour early. This may be the chance to respond, but Nukeduck is on the backside. Lissandra ult also going to come in, going to disrupt the fight, going to start to cut through these members. Nemesis alive and well, zoning the team off, and Alphari now on a killing spree. Nemesis, no path to retreat, and OG take the fight.
Doesn't even matter that Origen are completely split at the start. They dominate the jungle of Fnatic, making it look easy. Now with Nemesis down, Hylissang as well, they can go for the Baron.
And their prep work has been done. The fact that they know exactly where Fnatic would try to come into this jungle, the fact that they denied the blast cone potential here, and now Mithy has spotted out Broxah, expertly set up from Origen here for this Baron.
They've got 3 members chasing him down.
3 stacks. Is just going to be able to eat him up as he tries to go through the tunnel. They're going to take down the jungler. Baron, of course, reset, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. OG going right back to the Baron, going to try to take this one down and continue to extend their lead. OG on the cusp of facing G2 in the finals. Fnatic need to find a way back into the game.
This is the Origen that climbed up to 2nd place in the regular season. Calm, cool, collected, and clean here as they jump up 11-3 in kills with an 8,000 gold lead. Baron buff, and they're looking to just move right along.
And the fact that they've done so over this best of 5 with so many different styles, showcasing why we respected this team, is really probably going to be cheeky.
Maybe we'll look for a play here, but not connecting on the stun does limit the options. Of course, the execution for Pyke still very relevant, but only level 10 for Hylissang. You know, he's doing stuff. Doesn't amount to much, I think, on the map, but does let him get vision in the enemy jungle.
Again, but the idea that Origen have come into this best of 5, that they've shown so many different looks, so many different champions, and have also gone toe-to-toe with Fnatic, who were heavy favorites going into this in the standard League of Legends. So huge props to Origen in their comeback from their defeat against G2.
So this start of the fight looks good from Fnatic. Again, 5v3 right off the bat, but the cannon barrage zones the entire backline of Fnatic. They can't do much given this situation, even though the revive comes through from Bwipo. Origen are eventually able to group up as 5 and just push back against Fnatic because of the cannon barrage's zoning capabilities.
And we're once again in a situation where it feels like Bwipo, Broxah, Nemesis, they're all diving the backline, but that leaves no one to protect Rekkles, and it feels like he never gets to auto-attack in these fights. And it's a difficult position to be in as a Kaisa, because you're very short range, and when you're ahead with that ulti, it feels so good, but when you're behind, just not a lot you can do.
And now we're trying to figure out where the last stand is going to be for Fnatic. At this point, you're just trying to staunch the bleeding. You just want to slow down Origen's roll to victory.
Pressure, though, coming through. Nukeduck ready to steal a few more ultimates, is level 16. Can't start to pressure out here with the Lissandra ult as well. Double cannon minions. No one really going to be able to approach that one. Instead, they're going to focus on clearing mid while those are not Baron empowered.
And Mithy's Tahm Kench just coming up clutch right there. Again, Hylissang, it feels like he can't do anything. He saw this matchup, but he walks up, he hooks. There's nothing else for Fnatic. They must give up their inhibitor. The stand will not be here.
They
can't do anything.
They just continue to move forward. They break one inhibitor. You feel like they're just going to move into mid lane and look to take another one. And once again, Fnatic, as you mentioned, Frost, have to choose their place to fight. They have to choose their last stand, and they have to choose it well, because this is literally their last chance. If they lose another fight, they will lose this game.
And that's the decision making. If you pick a bad fight, like you're saying, you lose the game right there. You either give up the gold lead and you live to fight another day, where your spring, split, and MSI spot is on the line.
Rekkles, though, with the double daggers now has the Q and E evolved, just enough attack speed. They can look to get this fight kicked off, but the arrow goes in just to stop any further engage options. Hylissang now fishing off to the side. Fnatic, will this be their final fight?
No. Look at where Bwipo is. Now, look at where Bwipo is.
Going to go in, but Nemesis doesn't commit. Feels like the TP may just be used for nothing. Will Bwipo continue to extend the play? Stepping forward with the ultimate, but he's the only one on the front line. The rest of the team can't move in. Hylissang trying to get something, but Bwipo has burned the ult for nothing. Rekkles completely zoned out with the cannon barrage, and now they're just going to try to pick off Nemesis, forcing out the self-ultimate immediately. OG could look for the turn and burn here. They have the Aatrox ult. Nukeduck ready to run in. Skarner. Abduct, where's it going to go? Hylissang has to sidestep, but OG now set to barrel down this mid lane and take even more from Fnatic.
They just can't touch Origen. Origen are unstoppable at the moment. 2 inhibitors down now. They can walk back up top lane after this reset. Origen are looking so good here in Rotterdam.
And again, another perfect ultimate coming out of Alphari to separate Rekkles from the fight. There was no way that Fnatic were going to have any sort of follow-up. Fnatic are frankly lucky there that they did not get wiped and just lose the game.
Yeah, Fnatic need a new way to team fight, because running at them from the front is not working. Somehow, they must come in on flanks. They have to try and dive Patrik and Alphari, but at this point in the game, when you're down 8,000 gold, it seems almost impossible.
But what are you supposed to do when you have so many fed members from Origen? Like, we keep talking about Alphari and Kold, and yes, they played the early game so well, they had that transition to mid game, but at this point, Nukeduck is also just a monster. 4-0-2 on this Sylas.
He's got 75% crit chance, sitting on 4 items plus those boots. There's just nothing you can do to stop this guy.
Patrik is terrifying, the Gangplank is terrifying. 3 items. Frost, you're mentioning Nukeduck, he's got the Proto Belt, he's got the Lich Bane, so much just innate burst coming in from the item selection. And if these team fights go long, then you're going to get multiple ults from this Sylas. And we still haven't seen a death from below. We've just seen the Lissandra ults coming out. And Fnatic, once again, huge burden of execution to try to come out on top here.
Origen, all they have to do is watch their flank. You see Nukeduck and Kold off to the side. They know that the only way Fnatic can approach is from the side. So Kold watches that, makes sure Hylissang can't get in there, Broxah can't get in there, and it makes the siege so safe. They're waiting for the minions to push through bot lane before they can break top.
Hylissang has to be careful. He continues to step forward. He continues to fish for one miracle hook that could try to win the game, but it feels nigh impossible with a Tahm Kench ready and waiting just to deny him in this exchange. 1 tower remaining. Now the minions finally crashing on the bottom side. This is the key for OG now to push forward. Will there be enough wave clear with 4 members standing, or will OG actually go for the dive?
Look at this. They're holding the wave too. Immediately when it crashes to the tower, that's when they pull the trigger.
Perfect wave timing. Patrik now stepping forward. Has to be careful, though. Still has to give them a decent amount of respect. Instantly cleared by Bwipo. Enough AD on that Aatrox. The second Q will clear the wave. Hylissang now fishing, seeing Nukeduck alone with the dash out with the abscond. Keep the hopes up alive.
Yeah, and Origen again playing with the wave timing, just trying to split up Fnatic, looking for the window.
Once again, Nemesis not going to go in. The dash out. Hylissang on the retreat. Patrik starting to free hit onto this tower. Bwipo using the ultimate, massive cooldown to use, but not quite the fight that they wanted. Now stepping forward once again. The Frozen Claw not going to be taken. Bwipo using the ultimate for nothing in this exchange.
Still minions coming in towards the base. OG will not dive the tower. They know they can continue to push, and there's even a Baron spawning in 10 seconds. Fnatic have nowhere to go. Their backs are against the wall.
The patience, the control from Origen, this is not making the same mistakes that we saw previously from Fnatic. They came here for the objectives. They're now looking for the Nexus.
Looking to break that 3rd inhibitor. It's almost impossible to come back at that point, but now they have to force the fight. They have to try to find something. Bwipo into the backline immediately, just trying to delete Patrik, but Mithy has now used the Devour. Fnatic, can they turn the fight? Nemesis is alive and well. Rekkles is still okay. They're going to try to get a little bit more, but Nukeduck is simply too strong. Patrik not going to get taken out. Hylissang desperate to get it, but the flash is still there. Oh, gee, I cannot believe it. Dominant fashion, game 1 and 2, but Rekkles tries to make the hero play. Hylissang still alive, but there is no reset here. OG, will they end the game? Will they push for it here? They have 3 members.
They're approaching the tower.
We want to get a little bit more. 2 towers stand in front of them. OG on the cusp of making finals here. Nukeduck now leaving. Hylissang trying to buy as much time as humanly possible. There's no members left standing. It'll be Mithy and Nukeduck. Alphari as well to end the game. They were counted out, but here in the Ahoy Arena, OG have cut down Fnatic and will find themselves in a rematch versus G2.
Origen came into the arena today, and not a lot of people thought they would walk away with a win, and certainly not in the fashion they did it. Domination against Fnatic, only dropping 1 single game, and they look strong going into the finals tomorrow.
They are a team that are fundamental to their preparation. We've always talked about how Origen are the intelligent, the controlled, the methodical team. They didn't have the info to prep for G2. No one had seen what type of form they were going to be in. Against Fnatic, they had so much tape to look at. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They manipulated the drafts. They executed in the early game. They fought them in the late game. This is a completely different Origen, and we need to have completely different expectations.
And it seems fitting that the final hurdle will be G2. Once again, a team that they do not have the luxury of a whole week to prep for. They are still against the wall. G2 still has that first place advantage.
But they have the data of facing G2.
Very true. Well, if you want your favorite to win Kia Player of the Series, you need to head over to @eSports on Twitter and vote. 3 options, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what's going to come down to. It's hard to say, though. Who should be in the vote? It was such an incredible team effort, as it always is for OG.
I'm going to say Nukeduck definitely belongs there, as well as Mithy, and I think then you have a flip-up between Kold and Alphari.
Yeah, we'll find out pretty soon once that gets locked in, and you guys can go ahead and tally your votes. But honestly, on the other side of things, heartbreak here for Fnatic. They were at the World Finals last year, and they don't even have the chance in the finals in the LEC to go up and prove their worth to see if they can make it a spot to MSI. Instead, it will be Origen that has that honor, as you see them here on your screen.
Mithy, Nukeduck, Patrik, but no doubt the entire team. You hear the crowd cheer, and Nukeduck once again, second back-to-back final for this man. He hadn't made one in so many years, but now summer in 2018, spring in 2019, coach of the split standing with them.
And I hope that this restores some faith in this Origen squad from the audience, that this is not going to be Origen walking into another 3-0, that this was a very different look that they got, that they now have more experience across from G2, and then hopefully they can turn things around, and hopefully more people are behind Origen, and we have a very competitive final.
I think going into tomorrow, everyone expects G2 to be the favorites, but as you said, Origen put up a very strong performance. And I just love what we saw. There was so much different variety.
If you didn't have faith in Origen before, I hope you have some now after what was a nigh immaculate performance. Yes, game 3 was one-sided for Fnatic, but every other game looked so good. And this man on your screen stepped up. He was clutch in every single one of Origen's wins. And OG were not the favorites heading into today. What did they do? They smashed expectations. And now coming in tomorrow, I feel like they can contest G2.
And it's also about backing up the lens and looking at when Origen first came into the LEC. You look at this roster, people are excited to see the brand Origen. People are excited to kind of see the return, but there was still a lot of question marks, specifically about a guy like Mithy. This roster is littered with the woulda, coulda, shouldas of the LEC. You got a guy like Nukeduck, you have a guy like Kold, you have a guy like Mithy, who have seen their highs, but you've also seen very low lows. So I think it just means so much that they found their redemption arc, at least against Fnatic, and now they get that second chance at their revenge arc across from G2.
It's just, it's the rematch in Rotterdam. It's the rematch.
They literally played here.
They played this game. They played this match last week. They played it 3 years ago, and now they're going to play it again. This time, though, Mithy versus Perks.
Give me Blitzcrank Mithy and not NA Mithy.
Yeah.
This was right before Mithy joined G2. This was OG Mithy once again versus G2 Perks once again, but how much the stories have changed. Well, for more on tonight's semifinal, let's head over to Laura.